Welcome to Media Men Online. My name is Jeremy, and I'm here with the man Dan.
Hey,
He
hey.
has a plan to talk about Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It's not his real name. Who would have guessed?
His name is Eugene Greer.
What are you gonna name your son, Miss Diesel?
She's like, I think Vin is the only thing that fits.
She wanted to name him Vin, but she has a lisp.
But Miss Diesel, your name's Vin. He's Vin. I'll be Vin Jr. It's like, wait. So we had a little bit of news, which is unusual for us. So Vin Diesel, this is a rumor via Bounding into Comics. Vin Diesel will take on live action character in the MCU. As we all know, he's currently I Am Groot, which is the perfect, role for him because he's not good at the words. So another good role for him.
Strangely enough, I Am Groot is the movie where he's most easy to understand.
Yes. Except when he's talking about family,
Why didn't he just play Batman? Who could have been the ball?
Yeah, because Batman's always talking about his family too. Is Vin Diesel Batman?
Could you imagine Vin Diesel being being Bruce Wayne?
Oh my God!
Hello, Governor. I'd like to make a donation.
He'd be the first Bruce Wayne to not get laid in a movie. But anyways, another good role for Vin Diesel is to play a jack dude with a mask who doesn't talk. No. Black Bolt is one of the characters. He's an Inhuman, which is like, I don't know if you remember this or not, but the X-Men movie franchise is the rights are owned by Fox, and they have been ever since I can remember. All the movies back in the day with Hugh Jackman and that chick that played Jean Grey, all the way up to these most recent ones, are all owned by Fox and not the MCU. Uh-huh. So, at one point during the comic books, they decided to pretty much take the X-Men out of the comic books as to not give the movies by another company, any promotion whatsoever, which is really weird. And then they started fluffing up the Inhumans, which they didn't create for this, but, most people didn't know who they were.
So Inhumans are just X-Men.
Essentially, they were mutated by the Terrigen Mist, all this stuff. Black Bolt is one of the cooler characters, but he doesn't talk. So maybe that's why Vin Diesel's up for the role.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got to save his voice for I Am Groot.
Yes. Typically, I'm not a big fan of people playing two characters, but in this case, we don't have to see Vin Diesel's face at either point, so I'm okay with it.
I mean, I enjoyed the Riddick movies.
Yeah, for sure. And the first two Fast and Furious movies were good.
Not because of him, though.
No. Paul Walker, R.I.P. Do you remember those movies used to be like cop undercover street racing movies? And now they're like
heist movies.
Superman weird jumping across bridge bullshit. I remember at one of our first maybe dozen episodes, we talked about the Fast and Furious 13 trailer where a car, he blows up a bridge and the spike from the bridge wraps around the wheel of his car and he swings the car across the big opening. Yeah, that's pretty much what you're dealing with now. But anyways, I'm all for this. I know you don't know much about Black Bolt, but he's a pretty
Does he have a bolt gun?
No. He's a pretty cool looking character too.
Does he run fast?
No. I guess maybe he's probably, maybe like a 4.5 40,
Does he throw darkening bolts?
No. Why is he called Black Bolt?
Hold on, let me guess. Does he make really dark bolt for door hinges?
He's a comedian. He makes really dark jokes,
Okay,
and
bolt doesn't fit in there
he
though.
does it in rapid succession. That's where the bolt comes from because he's very quick.
Is he a black Frankenstein like the neck bolts?
No, he's white. All right, let's move on. Keep an eye out. This is just a rumor at this point, but possible Vin Diesel Black Bolt. Do they not have any other like jacked bald dudes that can play a part? I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Why?
I
Why is
thought
this dude
Hollywood. I thought Hollywood was mostly jacked bald dudes.
right? I mean, Rock the Dwayne Johnson isn't in a movie yet. He'd be perfect for this.
Okay, we don't. There's no budget for that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I don't know if you knew this, but back when they were making the Fast and Furious movies, which is still currently going on, so I don't know why I said back then, but it was in both Rock Johnson's contract and Vin Diesel's contract that they never lose a fight in those movies. So anytime they fight each other, that's why Rock was like a villain in the beginning, but they switched him to the hero side so he didn't have to, you know, lose any fights. So if you notice, anytime they fight each other, it's like to a standstill. So stupid. But anyways, yeah, keep an eye out for that. We got a review coming up for you. I was thinking about a future episode talking about Catherine Full Body. Have you ever played this game?
No.
It just came out for Switch. It came out for like PS3 in 2011, something like that, and it came out for PS4. You know, one of those games that keeps getting redone because it's kind of like a timeless game because it's not super graphically intense and it's mostly a story-based game. So essentially, it's all story except the action parts are like a puzzle, not really a platformer, but essentially like a tower puzzle game, and I'm enjoying it so far. I've only played a couple hours worth, but
A tower puzzle game?
yeah, if you want to look up like
Like
what
you have
one
to
of the
stack
puzzles
stuff?
is. So you start at the bottom and you have to move all these blocks as you're climbing a tower as like this big demon monster thing is chasing you, and you have to make it to the top before it catches up to you. So, and essentially the demon monster is the guy's fiance. And it's during his dreams, so there's this whole narrative of woman's wrath because he within the first, this spoilers obviously for a game that's freaking 9 years old, but he cheats on her in like the beginning of the game, and the woman's wrath is supposed to be the vengeance of the girl, even though she doesn't know yet. In his mind, he's getting, she's getting revenge on him. But it's this really like weird, cool game. You can get drunk in there, so that's fun. And it's kind of like you ever play one of those games where you make a lot of decisions and it affects the way the game goes moving forward?
I've played games where they pretend that they affect the game.
So I think based on the like how you answer the questions, how you respond to your fiance in text while you're at the bar or that kind of thing, sway whether you're like there's a meter at the bottom, sway whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. And I think that determines, I don't know what yet, but it has to determine something, right? Not
I
necessarily.
mean,
Yes, but
I guess.
but I think there are quite a few endings. So if I get some time tonight, I'm going to play it a bunch. And I'm actually on night 3, which is Torture Chamber 1, which was a pain in the ass. I had to pause it earlier because not only do you have to, adjust the blocks and everything, but now there are spikes. So you got the big hands chasing you, the hands of your fiance, and some of the platforms you can't stay on for more than a split second. Like you have to move straight off of it because the spikes will come up and obliterate you, and it's a one-hit kill. So it's pretty intense. I love difficult games, and this seems like I had to start it from the beginning a couple times. Like you can replay from the beginning of the level. I kept having to go back because it's like, God damn, this is really tough, and I'm only in the beginning. So yeah, Um,
Huh. So I'm watching some gameplay now, and I gotta say, this guy is really fast at climbing from side to side, but
yeah,
he can't climb up at all.
right. You can only climb up if you're standing. You can't climb up from like the hanging position.
Well, no, yeah, you can. You can drop down, circle around, and then climb back up.
Well, what I mean is you can only climb up to the one that you're hanging on. You can't climb up a level
Yeah.
um, from the hanging position. If you want to ascend one level, it has to be from standing on 2 feet. So, you know.
Why isn't this guy wearing pants though?
And why does he have sheep horns? Or I guess, yeah, sheep. Are they horns? I don't know. But yeah, it's because it's in like his nightmare realm or whatever. And oh, on top of all that, there are sheep like trying to ascend against you and they get in your way, so you have to like throw them off. And you find out later in the game. I mean, not too much later, obviously, because I'm less than 2 hours in. You find out that they're actual people. So you've been murdering these people by throwing them out of your way. Yeah, it's pretty great.
So there
So
are other people in your dream.
apparently, yeah. Unless you're just once you fall asleep, you just enter this like connected nightmare realm, which is what it seems to be. So yeah, I'm pretty I'm enjoying it so far. Um it says it's a mature game, but I think it's only because of the drinking and the implied sex. So far you don't they don't ever go into much detail about that. So it's not like it's a one of those weird. There's a ton of weird games on Switch, like those waifu games or whatever. I don't know. We'll get into waifu next episode.
Oh, let's not.
Oh, we're getting into it.
That sounds like a you thing.
Yeah. So I think maybe in a couple episodes I don't know if I'll do a full review, but I'll give a you know second impressions. I don't know if that's what we'll call it, but I just gave my first impressions now. We'll see how far I can get by the next time we record. So okay, so Catherine Full Body is available PS3, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox 360, but not Xbox One, meaning the updated version is not available for Xbox, but you can, since the one is backwards compatible, you still would be able to play it, but it would be the original version that came out in 2011. So, which all in all could mean it's much cheaper, but I think I don't remember how much it costs, but we'll move on here. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about. Uh-huh.
So it looks like Full Body is not on PC, but the classic is on Steam.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so Full Body's the remake. Um, it's kind of just like updated graphics, and they added another girl to it, which adds to the volume of endings you can have. So I don't know. All right, we are going to move on and talk about our movie of the week. this one, this one's a bit of a weird one. This is called "You Should Have Left" with Kevin Bacon, Amanda Seyfried, and Avery Essex, who plays the little girl. Directed by David Kopp and written by David Kopp and Daniel Kellman. So, a former banker, his actress wife, and their spirited daughter book a vacation at an isolated modern home in the Welsh countryside where nothing is quite as it seems. So, initial impressions on the movie, Jeremy, before we dive in.
Um, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah. It was quite okay. And I'll give you that. So,
I mean, my standards for horror movies are I'm generally not into horror movies, so the fact that I was mostly interested is pretty high praise, I think.
sure. So, we meet our character who is Kevin Bacon, and he's a 62-year-old man, and they make no bones about it in the movie. And he's dating this young actress who apparently is having sex scenes without telling him in her actress job, which he goes to visit her and finds out like he has to listen to her fake moan with some dude, which
That was
is
it
that
was like
weird?
straight up porno moaning.
Yeah,
It wasn't like movie moaning. It was
that's
porn
true.
movie moaning.
It wasn't like, sensual, like, yeah, for sure. It was over the top, like he was
Like
banging her in an alley moaning,
they don't show you the scene in case that's what you're interested in.
unfortunately.
But it's still worse than the scene in Matrix 2.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't
Those
remember,
movies were
you don't
so
remember seeing Keanu Reeves' cornhole?
No. Yeah, drank that out of my memory. So generally, both of those, the daughter had my attention in the beginning, right? I thought she was, kind of cute, kind of witty. But as the movie went on, she just got really irritating. Did you
Mhm.
come across this at all?
No, I thought she responded. Um, Her responses were kind of muted considering all the crazy shit going on around her.
But like there's the one, so they head out to the countryside, this Welsh like gigantic house. It's got all sorts of rooms and big old open, like it's
Quarter
a
mile
beautiful
hallways and
house.
shit.
Yes, it's great. And there's one point where the mother and the daughter are walking in the woods. I mean, this I'm jumping ahead, but this is one of my notes here. And the daughter's like, "Oh, why does everyone hate daddy?" And she like keeps on the mother until she like breaks her. It was just like, have you no it's like,
Yeah, she's. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I can't be sure, but like she seems to really push the limits of like regular childhood rebellion. Like she didn't like verbally bully her mom into telling her the truth. She was like 15 feet in the air on top of a tree, like threatening to fall off.
yeah. Yeah, she's walking up a tree and it's like, get down, all this stuff.
Yeah, that kid should have. You know how you've ever seen those kids that like are on a leash so they don't run into traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid needed a choke collar.
And you could have hung her from the tree by, oh, sorry. No, she was just it's like, how you gonna let this little girl break you like that? It's like, are you that weak? I don't know. It's really stupid to me. But I just like the moments like that with the little girl were just really, I don't know. I thought they thought she was cuter and wittier than she was.
Yeah,
If they would have just reeled it in a little bit. By the way, I think this is our third or fourth movie by Bloomhouse Productions. The
in
Hunt,
which series? The good movies or the bad movies?
uh, one of each actually. This might be our third one because we had The Hunt, which we both liked, and we had Fantasy Island, which we both hated. So,
To be fair, everyone hated that movie.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, this movie did kind of bug me. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm really, really fucking sick of dream sequences being used in place of writing and
Yep.
developing the plot. It's like we need to put like something scary in here, but I don't want to have to think of a reason for it to happen. So
Yeah.
dream sequence, and this one had a double dream sequence because
Which
first the
part?
little girl like in the beginning, the little girl has something scary happening. She wakes up, and like that guy's in her room. Remember,
Yeah.
she wakes up and the guy's in her room,
Yep.
and then he wakes up. So he was dreaming that his daughter was dreaming.
Yep.
He wasn't in his own dream.
Yep. Unless he was. No, he wasn't. Um, One of the other things was there's that moment where it's this really weird thing, and I don't know where it ended up fitting into the story because I don't feel like they revisit it. So inside the house, they do like this measuring thing of the big living room, and it's
Yeah.
X amount of feet.
Yeah, now this is at the end. This is at the end.
This was at the end. Okay, jumping around here. So for some reason, he decides to measure the inside of the house, and
Oh,
so
yeah, because
he's
it
going.
looks weird. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not for some reason. There's been weird shit going on,
sure, sure.
with like doors closing themselves, and also the guy tells him to like use the little protractor he gives him.
Yeah, but
So obviously,
yeah,
once you like find the weird angles, you're gonna and the bend in time and space, you're gonna get a tape measure out.
yeah. So he measures the inside of the house, and it's like 10 feet longer inside than outside, something
Yeah.
like that, which is odd. But one of my favorite parts, which had me like become really interested in this movie. So I think it's the first night they're at this Welsh cottage or whatever. I don't know what the hell you call it, mansion,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, the cottage.
yeah.
It's got
So
it's got 4 stories in 5 dimensions.
yep. So Kevin Bacon gets up and he can't sleep, so he goes down and he's exploring. And movie time, it's only like 5 to 10 minutes, but he comes back and it's been like 6 hours
Yeah,
since
that
he's been
drove me
gone.
crazy. Like, okay, he couldn't go to sleep. She his wife was
Yeah.
waiting in bed for him with a laptop,
Yep.
and she didn't go and look for him.
No. Yeah. How long was she awake?
I mean, well, she put the laptop away and turned off the lights.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they're in the middle of the Dutch countryside, and your spouse goes missing. Aren't you like, shouldn't you be worried? Maybe there's an axe murderer. Maybe
Yeah.
something happened with their daughter. Maybe he got locked in like a weird one-way door or something. You don't know. She's like, oh well, I guess everything's fucking fine. I'll go to bed.
Yep.
I'm not gonna check on shit.
Yeah, that even though it was kind of stupid that she never, pursued him. Maybe she just wanted to sext her little boyfriend in bed, which we'll get to later. Um, maybe, I mean that got me just really intrigued about the movie because up until this point, I'm just like, what are we in for here? And just the little psychological mind bending stuff, I was more interested in than what we actually got. So, let's see here.
Yeah, I would say like all of those things to me were just way too interrupted by what I like to call white people shit,
Uh
which
huh.
is like, this family's in the house and it's like, get out. And like the door starts bleeding. Like, huh, if we better call the carpenter tomorrow. It's like, no, your shoes just walked themselves out the door. Run.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
And also, the white, like, Kevin Bacon's character is, they spend a lot of time building him up, and he's a good actor. So, I think they do okay on that. But I feel like the wife is a little like for a movie with such a small cast.
hmm
The wife is just way too side character, kind of pre-made,
yeah,
like too quirky to breathe, but not that funny.
yeah. She's the tertiary character for sure. Like it's the dad, and then it's the daughter, and then the wife's kind of. She's just a plot device to show why he kicks her out.
She's kind of like Deadpool's girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. So we, I mean, we've been skipping around here, but
Yeah,
that's because this movie is kind of
movie started it.
yeah. So after we find out that there's something going on in the house with the weird time skip scenario. Um, it takes a long time for them to kind of realize that stuff's happening, and even when they start to realize it, there's not like a huge sense of urgency, you know?
Yeah, these are not smart people.
No, not at all. And all right, go ahead.
I feel like Actually, when you said, I just now realized because I had this note here, like, why are the people in the town of this house like so calm about people like slowly shuffling up to their death?
Yeah.
It's like, but then I think maybe these Dutch people are just so tired of all the retards that
Yep.
just dance through their town, ignoring obvious threats. You know, it's like they see a dog that's like foaming at the mouth and barking, like, I'm gonna pet him. You know, they're just like, maybe if we let this continue, the world's IQ will slowly creep up.
Right.
Because I gotta say, the people in this Dutch town could not care less about these people being murdered or
Right.
dying or disappearing or whatever they think is happening to them. He's like, oh yeah, you're in great danger. Here's a protractor and a vague threat.
Right. This is a little fun fact about Wales, which is where this movie takes place. It has the longest town name in the world. Right? It looks like it's about 72 letters. All right, I'm going to give it a shot. It's Llanfair Pool Gwyn Gil Go Gur U Quern Drob Ol Landis Ilio Gogo Gok. So,
Oh, okay then.
yeah. So that is the longest town in the world in Wales. And I mean, they're, as they say, taking the piss at this point. But,
Yeah, the last 2/3 of that, you know what you're doing.
usually shortened to Llanfair Pool.
I think
whatever
the
fuck
city was
that's
named by whoever they pay to make the signs.
It's like it's
Fine,
translates
charged by the
roughly.
letter.
Ready for the translation?
Sure.
Oh my god, it cuts off. I guess that's where I'll stop it. St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near Rapid Whirlpool and it's like fuck you. And the Church of St. Cecilio near the Red Cave. It's like
Oh, so the town name is like a set of directions.
yeah. Yeah. X marks the spot, pretty much. It's like, come on. It's a quiet town on the island of Anglesey.
So, like, if they named the moon, it would be like 100,000 miles straight up sometimes.
Yeah. Rotating on an axis, unless the world is flat and it's just a giant nightlight or whatever people say.
And I wanted to ask you this because I've never been married, so I'm going to ask you this: did their marriage feel like really cringy?
Yep.
Like I wrote down like in my notes, like, is this why I'm single? Because I just think this is bullshit.
I'm also 28 years older than my wife.
I'm gonna ask you this: how old were you when you met?
I was 23.
So your wife was -5 years old when you met.
Yep.
Okay, so this joke is now done.
Yep.
Let's move on.
I should have said 28 just for common practice here.
And also, this is a public service announcement. If you look in the mirror and you find yourself giving yourself side eye,
That's a problem.
get out.
Yeah.
It means leave. It doesn't mean like rub your eyes and look again.
Yeah.
It means get the fuck out. Like, I mean, everyone has like, I don't know. Do you think if like you saw that you would think you were hallucinating? Because I've never full on hallucinated.
Right.
Like every now and then I'll think, is that a spider? And it's not a spider. It's like just a thing in the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
But I've never been like, a bear. And then I'm like, oh wait, never mind. It was an empty field.
Right.
Guess I've been stressed lately.
Yeah. And, I'm just going to go through my notes because I'm having trouble driving this bus. So one thing I wanted to ask you, because I was confused about this. So he's in his little den or office or whatever, and he sees in his
Little
notebook.
den. It's bigger than my last 3 apartments.
Yeah. He's in his giant theater area with one desk in the corner.
Right,
So he's
facing a window.
Yeah. Yeah. such a ridiculous house. I guess if we'll get to that. So he's flipping through his notebook and he says, "Get out now, whatever. You should have left, all that bullshit."
Uh-huh.
We find out later in the movie that it's actually him stuck in like some sort of time loop telling
And he
him.
doesn't recognize his own handwriting. I know.
Yes. He doesn't recognize his own handwriting. A. B. Why wasn't the first pass through of him stuck in that time loop the end? What was the... Did we ever come across why he was stuck there? Right, we get that at the end, spoilers, obviously, for this movie, but we get that he has to stay there forever.
Yeah.
But now that's him staying there, so why is it a loop at all? You know what I mean? Unless the first time he chose not to save them. But then when the house have just kept them there?
We see both sides of the loop.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but why is it a loop? Why is there a loop at all? Like, the first Kevin Bacon in there, why isn't it just like, he finds out what happens and he's stuck? Like, is the...
I don't understand I don't understand. Okay, so he's at in the first half of the loop, or the first time through.
Yeah.
I'm not remembering the order of events. I thought that that him reading it was... No, sorry, he fell asleep, and then the second dream sequence.
Well, the first time we see it is technically the second time through the loop.
Yeah, okay, so time in here is messed up because when he writes that down, it's when he's still looking for his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like she's so she goes through the door and disappears in the alternate dimension, which I'm gonna bitch about later.
Yeah.
And then he walks around following her. So I think it's a loop because he goes back in time and then he goes forward again.
Oh, okay. So it's still
like the same way that his future self is there, his present self goes back. His future self comes back to him, and his present self also goes back to past him. There are multiple... It's a loop because it's time travel.
But it's only it's only technically one loop, right? There's no loop. It's just... It's only because he passed through some sort of thing that he was able to write that.
Right.
Well, the first time we see him, he hadn't passed through yet. So how did the words get on the paper? Oh, time. We could debate this time shit forever, I guess.
They get on the paper because he goes back in time and writes it.
But he... Okay.
The first time he opens up the book and sees it, he has already written it.
He's already written it, but he hadn't gone through to write it yet.
Right, like I've got a bottle of water next to me here, and I've drank some of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've already drank some of it, so it's not full anymore. It doesn't matter if I get into a time machine, come back, drink the water, and then come up to this point and get back in the time machine and then go back to the future, or if I drank it with my regular past. They both happened previously. The only difference is whether or not I would remember it, because it's future me that did it in the past.
Right. But if you time traveled, isn't that like your new current future? Yes. Even though it's technically your other self's past?
Right. I mean, I don't know if you're chaining those words together, but I'm just going to say yes.
No. So what I'm saying is, so let's say you were to time travel back...
You've X-Men this shit for me too much. The days of future, present, past. I'm not following you.
So let's say...
He doesn't remember writing it because he hasn't written it yet. But he goes back to before he saw it to write it.
Right. But
future self is in the past. Before present self is in the present.
Son of a bitch. All right, let's move on.
That makes sense. But here's the real question. Here's the real question. If his future self knows he didn't leave when he read that, why didn't he write something different?
True.
He should have written something that would make him leave.
Yeah, they're like, listen, this is Kevin Bacon. If you don't leave now, you're literally gonna get freaking sodomized in hell. If you don't.
Dear me, this is me. You can tell because of X, Y, and Z.
Look at the fucking handwriting.
Yeah, you just had a crazy dream. It wasn't a dream. Get out, or you're gonna be stuck here forever.
Also, your wife's cheating on you. Our wife is
That's
cheating.
yeah, that's it. What he should have done is he knows what he wouldn't know what a cell phone is, so maybe he couldn't find it. So throwing that in there would be a distraction.
True. You'd be like, all right, leave your wife there, and she'll be stuck. Or not. I don't know how this time works. Only he can be stuck. It's either him and his family, or just him, right?
No, they're all stuck until he lets them go.
Right. So
yeah.
But
So they can all be stuck.
but not just her, right?
He is definitely stuck. He is already stuck.
So I'm saying if he would have left early but left the cheating wife.
Well, we don't know for a fact that he could have left at that point.
Okay.
Because when he did try to leave, he got stuck. So it could be that the future past Bacon, who wrote that down, just doesn't know that he was already stuck.
Right.
Well, we know he didn't know he was already stuck.
That's
He knew
true.
he knew he was stuck then, but he didn't know if he was stuck before he read it. But I'm gonna guess that he was stuck from the beginning because the whole point was to get him to the house, and then he was just stuck.
Right.
It could be that when he went down to the town, he was still stuck, and if he had kept going down that road, he would have been teleported back to the house.
True.
We
Which
don't
we
know for
find
a
out
fact
later.
Yeah, we don't know for a fact he could have ever left after he drove up that first time.
I got something else to bitch about.
So the name of the movie's a lie, potentially.
Right. You should have left before you got there. That's what it should be called.
Yeah. The answer is you should have left your wife
Yeah.
before you murdered her.
Yes.
That's what the movie's about. It's a moral.
Okay. I got two more things to bitch about. Then we can talk about anything you got in your notes. And
I'm not even halfway through my notes.
okay, let me give you these 2 points, and then you can drive this bus from here. So, A, he doesn't kill the wife, does he?
Mm-hmm.
She kills herself, but he doesn't save her. Right?
I mean, it's negligent homicide at best.
Right, but he doesn't drown her. He doesn't shoot her. He doesn't strangle her.
Yeah.
He just kind of lets her die.
He stands and watches her drown. Yes.
Right, which is a really weird thing to be stuck in a Welsh house forever. It's a really weird reason. You'd think they'd want to get, like, I don't know, some dude that just shot up, a church or something. But
Well, I mean, they
maybe
tried
they're
to get
working their way
I
through
mean,
the
look,
alphabet.
they tried to get OJ, and only Bacon answered the phone.
Right. He's the only one that was like, yeah, I guess I could go to Wales.
Yeah.
They were trying to get OJ to go. He's like, nah.
Your opponent will come for your life.
That.
Guard it.
The other thing. So, at this point, we still don't know this point of this story that I'm about to tell. We don't know what's going on exactly. We know that there's some funky shit going on. Kevin Bacon grabs his daughter, leaves the house.
Yeah. I mean, we do know he killed his wife because they wouldn't have that whole plot point in there for it to not be him killing his wife.
Right. But
That'd be like the biggest red herring ever.
Yeah. In terms of what exactly is going on in the house, we don't quite know yet. And he picks up his daughter. He's like, there's weird shit going on. Let's walk down to the little village or whatever.
Don't let
So they're walking for a while, and it teleports them back. So as they're leaving the big, the little trailer house, the tiny little trailer in the middle of Wales, they look back and there's somebody standing in the window with the lights on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They walk for a while. They get teleported back. He's like, oh, shit. We're stuck in this loop. We got to make it one more night. What does he do? He goes in. He puts his daughter to bed and goes to sleep. They saw somebody in the window. I don't care who you thought it was. The wife is gone.
Mm-hmm.
and you've seen somebody in your place,
Yeah.
and your next thing to do when you get back in that place is to go
Let's
to
take a little nap. Yeah.
I would have gotten into the corner, like a small room, with any sort of weapon I had. Let the girl sleep because you don't want to freak her out. But I'd be like, okay, we're sleeping in here tonight.
See, you and I are have very different strategies because I don't know if it would help or not, but I think what I would have done is burn down the house. And then I would have tried to start a forest fire because maybe like they can send a fire truck, and then I'll be in the because like I would assume I was in sort of like space time thing or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, maybe I could be in here with some firemen, and they'll bring me a coat and some snacks.
Yeah. It's just like the last thing I would do is go to sleep.
I've always wondered about like that. This is really off topic, but when people are on like those desert islands with like a full forest and stuff like that, why don't they just start a nice forest fire? Like a forest that big, if you started that fire, they would see it from satellite.
Yeah.
Like there's nowhere in the world you can have a fire that big without it making the news.
The funniest thing about that is people could drop like a cigarette ash and it'll start a forest fire, but how hard it is to like literally try and start a fire without any sort of tools is hilarious.
Well, it depends on your environment. If you're in an area that's like dry and hot, then it's not really that hard to start a fire.
Right.
But if it's like cold and wet, you can dump a fire. You can drop a cigarette into a gallon of gasoline. You're not starting a fire.
Yeah.
Without drying off some kindling and like getting whatever the threshold is. I don't know if you could actually burn down the forest, but you can give it a try.
That's
true.
But
you could definitely burn that house down. There was a lot of wood there.
Yeah, so those were my last notes. This bus is yours to drive. Crash us into a wall if you want, but I'm here for you.
Okay, so this movie commits the dream crime again. And I was just like, it just really, I feel like they've just robbed me of my time spent watching the movie. Which is a weird thing because, it was a good sequence with like going down there and seeing all the freaky stuff. I don't know why they couldn't just take that scene, move it somewhere else in the movie, and then just kind of move the whole him being scared trying to escape up a little bit.
Sure.
But instead they had this whole like weird bullshit where it's just like, oh well, maybe he's not the house, maybe he's just crazy. But I mean that's not what the movie's about. We already know that's not what the movie's about. You watch, he wakes up, it's like, oh yeah, they just needed to pad that runtime a little bit, I guess.
Yep.
It's just such a pointless way to throw a scene in because it's, I don't know, we've got to hit our quota of horror movie cliches.
The enemy is ahead, but you can change
and we can't do that window thing again.
What, him standing in the window?
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, after he had that dream, this is some more white people shit. Like, he find out she cheated on him, and he's mad. I get that. But why is he staying in the demon house? Like, I watched the scene of her getting in the car, and I was like, y'all can separate at the town or at the airport or somewhere. Get the fuck, get out of that house. Oh my god, like
yeah,
they had agreed. It's so, like he had lost time. His daughter was scared of the house. He had that weird dream with like the stairs and shit like that. The writing in the journal, and what's he do? He's gonna like stay in the house as some sort of like place to sit and sulk. I don't get it. I do not get it. I would have left her at the house. That's what I would have done, actually.
Absolutely.
I would have been like, What I would, now that I think of what I would have done is I would have just like, I would have taken her cell phone there. I don't know if he could unlock it or not. Let's assume if he could unlock it, I would have just like left a text message to her boyfriend there,
Yeah.
like on the phone, and then left it on the counter, taken the car, and just left with the daughter.
What would the text
like-
message say? Threesome?
Something about my husband having a bigger dick than you. I don't know.
Like, he's 62 years old and he gets me off more than you do, son.
I envy your strength.
Or my husband knows that I gave you herpes. You know, something like that.
Oh.
Their breath.
Damn.
Only one
That's
minute
harsh.
left.
But yeah, I didn't understand that either. It's like you can stand to drive together back to whatever tiny ass airport. I bet the airport's smaller than this house.
I mean, given the house is an enigma of time and space, the airport's also younger than the house.
That's true.
And
You've got 30 seconds.
so in the scene where like they're measuring the size of the house,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Oh man, this is impossible. There's something weird going on here."
Only
He just
one
lets the
enemy
little girl
remains.
run into the house by herself.
Don't let them catch
Yep.
their breath.
Yeah, go back into the time and space conundrum. I'll wait here.
Yep. Going to the place where we clearly see that the inside of the house is bigger than the outside. Then she's running through and disappears through the other side. Like he sees her through the windows and then she disappears through the door and enters like this haunted hallway, like nightmare scenario.
Yeah, although I will say that it leads into the scene where he's running around with like the doors like kind of switching around on him,
Yeah.
and that was probably some of like the best, I guess, like horror movie jump scare switching situation.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe the whole sequence, but I was watching it like, this is really good. This is better than the rest of the movie combined.
Yeah, he's running through, and that's where he sees his wife, right? His original wife, in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Your teammate is
Yeah.
alone.
This movie had some nice like psychological points to it. I feel like the execution left a lot to be desired.
I thought the execution was like the best part about it, and
Really?
yeah, I mean the acting, the way it was
Only
shot.
1 minute left.
It's a top tier movie in terms of all of like the metrics you could put down, like anything you could sit down and like measure or like point to, like I don't know, like you watch a movie and you're like, this is shot really well, or it's not shot really well.
Right.
I'm holding
Like it's pretty well edited. They don't like have like weird shots that you're like, why is this in here?
So what I meant was like the execution of the story itself, because obviously Kevin Bacon's a good actor. I mean, he's been around forever.
That doesn't make you a good actor.
The daughter,
But yeah,
know.
but he is a really good actor. I mean,
Yeah.
he killed.
the wife was okay. The daughter was good at points, but it was literally up to Kevin Bacon to carry this movie. I mean, what do we have, like 4 people?
I mean,
I
he
mean,
did
I'll-
play half the cast.
Yeah. Including the dude that gives them, like, at the weird grocery store in the village. There's like 4 people throughout most of the movie. So, I don't know. Do you want to get to
You know,
the
it's
ending
weird
of
to
it?
think about it, but I think the character with with the 4th most lines, if you ignore Kevin Bacon again, is like the security guard.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he's like, no, you can't come in. Your wife's getting railed right now. And then an awkward scene where she's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
like
can't
they're
come
kinda
in.
making
Somebody
eye
else is
contact.
coming in. Sorry. Too much?
Little too much.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So,
and the scene where he just like left his daughter in the room to go to the bathroom, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He already did the door thing. Yeah, I mean, he really should have just burned down that house. I feel like that would have killed the 4th dimensional ghost.
yeah. Absolutely.
Let's see, my second to last note is time traveling dumbass. feel like that sums up the movie from a philosophical point.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this basically the movie is a multi-dimensional guilt trip where future Kevin Bacon holds his daughter hostage from past Kevin Bacon to make him stay in house prison.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like being locked in an interdimensional house forever is a little steep for what would probably be negligent homicide, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe murder, maybe third degree murder.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like
he never
like
touched her though.
yeah, I mean,
Your opponent
like
will come for your life.
he definitely needs to like go to jail for what he did, but I'm not sure if prison forever is the right punishment for his crime.
Yeah. If he was stuck in that Welsh house for like 10 years, that'd be fine. I think that'd be a fitting punishment.
Yeah. 10 years is probably a good one.
Yeah.
Like if the dead wife's brother were to kill Kevin Bacon, I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's fine. You're allowed to kill him. But other than that, I think the punishment's like you either get beaten to death by someone who you've harmed, or you get a reasonable prison sentence.
Yeah.
Show them what one guardian
So this is, I was looking this up. This is definitely our third Blumhouse production. There's actually a movie I just watched the other day called Upgrade that's a Blumhouse as well that we can talk about at some point soon. It's actually a really good movie. Not to spoil anything, but I enjoyed it. Wife
Okay.
was a little weirded out by it, but I enjoyed it. So the production cost of this movie was $4 million. I would probably guess $3 million went to Kevin Bacon. Maybe more. 3.8 million. It released on digital only, under the home premiere banner. This would have probably been in theaters, I would guess. But with COVID, it was released home premiere, so we don't have any purchase numbers or anything like that. So June 18th, 2020, $4 million cost overall, which, I mean, that's not too bad for a movie these days, so
Yeah.
good on you for that. And
I mean,
okay.
making a profit on a movie during the apocalypse is definitely a pretty good result.
Yeah, absolutely. 6,703 ratings at this current time on IMDb, with an average score of 5.3 out of 10, which is kind of, I would probably say 6 out of 10 range. So I'm kind of right there with them.
I'm gonna go with 5.3 out of 10. It's really good for a horror movie, but horror movies are usually shit anyway.
So, do you recommend this movie?
I mean, if you have to watch a horror movie, this is probably a good one to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think someone who's a big horror or psychological thriller fan could get a lot more out of this movie than I could. I would say this was worth a lot. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the ones where it's kind of a meh out of 10 for me, 5, 6 out of 10, something like that. But I think people more into this kind of thing could really get some use out of this. And there are good aspects, and you definitely want to see this house. So, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. And on our next episode, we're going to try something a little different, and we're going to review a movie.
What? That's weird.
Yeah, but this time it's going to be an animated movie, and this one is called My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. And Jeremy and I were going to do both movies because the second movie is supposed to come out on July 15th. We're talking about this on July 17th. So apparently the Japanese only in Japan version came out on the 15th. And we don't have a release date yet for the English release. And
Like the dub or the sub?
There's no English release either way yet. You could probably find it on some sort of website, but I'm gonna wait for the digital because that's definitely something I want to own. So, all right, so we'll wrap it up here. Be sure to follow us on all the places. Mediamen.podbean.com. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes. All that good stuff. And we'll catch you next time with My Hero Academia: 2 Heroes.
And if you leave us a 5-star review, I will check my walls with a protractor.
And he will also read Mike Tyson's speech from something.
That's right. Well, no. That's right. If we get a 5-star review and you request it, I will read Mike Tyson's speech from The China Salesman.
Yeah. Just tag your 5-star review with MTS at the end. Stand for Mike Tyson's speech.
We'll know what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we'll catch you guys later.
Until next time.
I suppose you must think this rather odd.
Why?
I suppose you must think this rather odd.
Why?
Anyway, it's only temporary, just until we can get a real geek.
Geek?
Now, in regard to this feeling you have,
What do you say?
psychologists admit the validity of mental telepathy under certain...
I thought this looked like one of those joints.
Psychologists admit the validity of mental telepathy under certain...
I heard you the first time.
You ever been psychoanalyzed?
No. I saw one in a murder movie once. A good mentalist could have straightened the whole thing out in 5 minutes.
I'm sure you could have. How did you know my mother was dead?
I didn't. I just had a feeling that your question wasn't on the level. I figured you were trying to make a chump out of me. It's just common sense.
It's not so common.
I don't know about that.
Why?
I've got that same feeling right now.